Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is a teaching series. I am Craig, and this is also done by Adam here. You can find our channels on YouTube, Israel Chat Bible and King Israel Seeds. This is the first part of a teaching series that will go throughout the Bible. Obviously, we're starting in Genesis. This is the first video that we have done. And this is a teaching thing, so you will find notes up on the board and the verses that we're talking about, and we also reference things on the Father's timeline. Obviously, we're at the very beginning of the Father's timeline. And again, if you want to answer any questions, you leave them in the comments, and we'll get back to you. And again, this is a series of teachings that we're going to go on a deeper level than other teachers that you have maybe watched on YouTube and other platforms. Okay, Adam, take it away. Oh, my bad. I'm going to read Genesis 1 through 5, as it reads from the KJV. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day.
Hello, everyone. So up here, we see in the beginning, God created the heaven and heavens or heaven?
Heaven.
So heaven is always singular. So usually that's always referenced as the sky. And then, which I have over here when I put a slash and then sky, so that people recognize what is heaven. Because right now in our world, especially the churches, they're teaching that heaven is like something in the spirit realm. Like, what did the Greeks and the Romans, what did they call it? Their paradise, what was it?
Oh, Mount Olympus?
Yeah, Olympus. There's another form. Anyways, they call it these terms that this is where the gods are. This is where you'll be in the afterlife. These are what the Greeks, the Romans, and many other cultures throughout time have done. But this is not what the Father's talking about. Yet is written already here in Genesis that we're taught is supposed to be like the kingdom of God. So that is in heaven. This is not what it's saying. It's saying the sky. And the earth, which is referring to land. Because earth, which back in the old days was known as terra. Terra was known as land, terra firma, terra. So we understand that if he's saying sky, and then he's saying the land. And then the earth, land was without form. Now some people would say, oh yeah, that means that there was even a planet. Or that he's not referencing that there was no planet. He's saying in this form, without form, that there was nothing made. Which is why that makes more sense as you go further into Genesis chapter 1. It starts talking about animals. It starts talking about the oceans. It starts talking about the herbs and the trees and the grass, right?
Yeah.
So that makes more sense that without form does not mean that there was no like structure, planet, like there was no lava. There was lava, there was rocks. This is talking more upon the grass and trees and the oceans and things like that. And void. Void means empty. Again, the manifestation and emptiness. So if there's nothing manifested, then of course is referencing as being empty. This is also another reference in the Bible, being dead. If you're dead, you're empty of what? The truth, right? The word, right? You're empty.
Yeah.
So if you can say that when you're dead, you're empty of the spirit, basically the word, because you're no different than a cross or a statue. You're a corpse that can't speak. You'd be no different, right?
Yeah.
So if we can say empty would mean that, and void is a another form of saying that word, empty, and then vice versa. So it would not be wrong to even switch this in the Bible, erase void, and just say empty. So be without manifestation and empty. That would make sense, right? Because we see Corinthians, New Testament, that everything that's made by that which is unseen. So clearly, if everything's made by that which is unseen to be manifested, just like Jesus, right? Which truly his name was known as Emmanuel by Isaiah. So I would prefer to say Emmanuel, and that's what you're going to hear me later on. So Emmanuel was empty, right? I mean, Mary's womb was empty. Then there was a manifestation, because there was a voidness in Mary, right? Then there was a manifestation, and there was Emmanuel in the womb, right? So we see that this very first, second verse in Genesis chapter 1 goes a lot of ways throughout the Bible. So we should never understand, oh, it just means that part in the past and has no connection to something relevant later on. That's not how the Bible works, right? Right, Craig? Mm-hmm. Everything is built upon itself. And darkness would be a concealment or hiddenness. When there's dark, what's hidden? The sun, right? There's no dark, there's no light. So we saw with the eclipse, when the moon passed over the sun, you barely, for a short time, were able to see much. It was complete darkness, right?
Yeah.
So we see darkness means, and this could also mean to be hidden. We also see the word darkness in many other verses in the Bible. It means to have the truth hidden. And we know the truth and light are symbiotic words. They could be interchanged, right?
Yeah.
So darkness concealed or hidden was upon the face, which would be surface of the deep, which would be light. Now, why am I saying deep here would be light and not something deep like further into the planet like the ocean? Because if the Father cares so much about the creations, why does he speak so highly about words coming out of the prophets instead of saying the deep as far as something further into the ground? So deep is always symbiotic to really the deep things. Who can know the deep things? Meaning the deep knowledge. The word is hidden, concealed in the image, the body, the mouth, right? So to say is the face, the surface of the deep light would then be hidden. Also, why am I saying face me surface? How many times do we know the story of Moses? I will hide my face from Moses so he does not see something. It wasn't saying I'm going to hide the face of Jesus, which again, his name would be Emmanuel. But he's not saying I will hide the face of Emmanuel. He's saying I'm hiding a truth from Moses of something in the future. Again, we know it's not Emmanuel. Why? Because Emmanuel talks about another person coming known as the Comforter. Right, brother?
Yeah.
So if even Emmanuel himself is talking about there's another face, an eighth head, so the darkness is upon the face of the deep, the light, knowledge. And the Spirit of God moved. Well, how does he move? It would be a working action. Was it
Yeah.
adverb, right? Worked. It's an adverb.
No, like verb.
Is a verb, so it means an action.
Yeah.
So moving is a verb because you're doing something. So the better way to understand it is he's working, which makes more sense that he's working upon the surface of the waters, which really would mean everything, because he never stopped, right? Even when he rests, we still see what did he say after the crucifixion, right? He rests. We still see plagues. Florida got hit by hurricanes. We know he controls storms. Is he really resting for one whole day away from our world of not having anything, when he says, I control all things, I control plagues, I control the violence, I control everything. So he's not really resting. What the Sabbath means that he rests is he rests from revealing the light, which really is the truth, the knowledge. Because even Emmanuel says, I am the light, the truth, and the way. So he's really talking about knowledge. Man shall not live by bread alone, which is a manifested food, right, of spirit, but it's a piece of food that you need for your body, right? Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Is it not written, ye are gods? We're not the prophets, gods of the Father. Therefore, isn't it written, ye are gods? That's the Trinity, is it not? That the Spirit is in us, that we speak truth. That makes more sense then. So the face, surface of the light, and the Spirit of God, we're going to get back to this title. It's not a name, but we're going to reveal eventually what this name really is. Right now we know him as a deity, but remember folks, how many times did Emmanuel say, I do my Father's will? Did he ever say, I do God's will? Did he, brother?
No.
He said, I do the Father's will. And there's many other times that it does word in Old Testament, the Father of Israel. Or there is references that uses the word Father before Emmanuel comes onto the scene. But again, if Emmanuel is using of all people, shouldn't we be using more the word Father because we see him as a parent than a creator or deity? So worked upon the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light, knowledge, and there was light, knowledge. Now again, a lot of people who may be watching this or will watch it, you may say right now, no, he's talking about the sun. Well, even again, he's taught everything is made by him. So again, if we were to say that he's talking about the literal sun, then why does Emmanuel, again, of all people, reference the sun in a symbolic way, that as you have the light, the sun that shines light to guide you during the day so that you don't fall, so you know what's in front of you, you can freely move without any fear, right? But what he's saying is, I am a light, as long as, and this is in one of the notes, which one, I think it was in John, says, I am the light. So if he's saying he is the light, and without me, there is no light. So what is he really saying? And it's not just him again, folks. He says, if I come as a prophet. So if he's validating himself as a prophet and saying, you killed the prophets, you wish to kill me. Why? Because there's something in their mouth that they spoke that was from the Father, right? So then Emmanuel's saying that what he is speaking is truth. And truth is just as, if not more, bright than the sun, if not more brighter than the sun, and gives a greater guidance than the sun. Wouldn't we say that that would be more valid?
Mm-hmm.
So the truth is brighter than the sun. And that's what people fail to understand. If you don't know the truth, you're in a state of darkness, blindness, and deafness. You're like the ones in the grave. You're like the dead. If you don't have an understanding. This is what the Bible talks about.
Should I read John 3:21 for you?
Sure.
John 3:21. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God.
So wrought means worked. That they are worked in the Father. So if they are worked in the Father, and the works of the light be manifested, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what works? If you love me, keep my commandments. So any church that dares to tell you you have no works that you need to do, that what they'll say is Jesus did everything, that's not accurate. Because you just read in John, my brother here read it in John, that you are to do works. Works without faith is dead. Faith without trusting in the works is death. So yes, you're not saved by what you do to save yourself, to be on the Father's side, right? But you're saved by the works he has built. By whom? The prophets. If they listened to Jeremiah, would they, and then, again, this is hypothetical because we know the Father has already ordained this. If you read, understand Daniel 11 and many other scriptures, we know that he has ordained every single event that would play out. But theoretically, if the people, the children of Cain, listen, would he have destroyed them with the flood? Theoretically, no. If they obeyed, he would have sustained his anger, right? If they listened to Jeremiah's words and they got rid of all their idolatry and started listening to living correctly according to not just Jeremiah, but the prophets before Jeremiah, such as Moses, then Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, would not have taken them into captivity. They then would not have been in captivity in Egypt if they'd been obedient and not been tricked by the Pharaoh and the Egyptians for whatever they were saying to them. Because they had everything, right, in the land of Goshen. So we see a pattern right here in Genesis. We see a pattern starting to form that is deeper than just about creation. And God said, let there be light, knowledge. And there was light, knowledge. And God saw that the light, knowledge, that it, knowledge, meaning the wisdom, meaning the truth, it was good. What does Adam eat from? The knowledge of good and evil. So again, we see that the tree of knowledge had both darkness and light, which is a play on words, folks, right? To good and evil. So again, what is the great understanding? Is it about the sun, the moon, about the things in space or what's in the oceans? No. The greatest thing is about knowing the knowledge of the Father. And where do you start with that? You have to then first start to understand, what does it mean to be a child of Israel? What is a child of Adam? Why is Adam himself important? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves first and foremost. What everyone just keeps asking, what's the point of life? Are we the only ones out there? And all this other stuff. None of that stuff matters if we don't have a relationship, which means understanding of why the Father, why God does what he does. and has planned what he has planned. He's not just someone that sits on a throne and twinkles his thumbs and says, oh, well, whatever happens, be happen. I'll intervene when I choose to. That's the crap that we are taught by Greeks, which are the Romans too, that Zeus twiddles his thumbs and intervenes when he needs to because humans had free will. This is the reality, folks. The Greek Roman theology is not, that's fantasy. If we had free will, what are the possibility or chances of how you meet people that you meet in life and do the things you do, and how they have a like at the detective, they have pieces to each other in your life. You know, how else would you say it? Like a pattern, or clues, kind of like clues, like of how, why. I mean, even for a detective to understand a serial killer,
You're
why
not
he
recognizing everything connects to each other then if you're
Mhm.
just believing in free will.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, and God saw the light knowledge that it was good, which good means truth, and God divided the light knowledge, or you can use the word truth, from the darkness, which we know back up here means to hide. What does a lie do?
Good.
Whenever you speak a lie, you are what? Hiding truth, right? So it is a concealment. But we're taught lies are this evil thing. Lies are hiding something. So as a detective, we have to understand why is that person acting the way? What are they hiding? What sin are they not wanting to expose because they don't want to be judged, because they don't want to be corrected? So it's very important we understand that this word lie doesn't mean something innately evil, but it means that it is hiding something that you have to figure out. Make sense? Then it says, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening, night, so right here we see, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Now which one came first? Darkness came first. Now we know, now we can talk about kind of creation, because we have a sun. When the sun's not there, we have complete pitch black darkness. So we understand darkness was the beginning of the day. Again, why is this particular verse 5 even important? Why did they have to hurry up and bring Emmanuel off the cross? When did the Sabbath, brother? When did the Sabbath start? When Emmanuel was crucified? During the day or at night?
Night.
At night, because they had to hurry up and take him off the cross. Because it would have, in their understanding, it would have been an abomination to have a dead person on the day of the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew that started when it was night, because night is the morning. Don't you say good morning at 12 o'clock a.m.? And is what? The sun's out, or is it darkness? So we know darkness is the beginning of the day. In the morning, he called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening night, and the morning day were the first day. So it's not that evening and morning were the first day, it was that the day starts when it becomes night, and then it ends when the sun is about to be concealed, hidden. That's when the end of the day is. So it's very important. We going further. We have a mental understanding of a calendar now. What is the beginning of day? What beginning and what ends the day? It doesn't make sense, folks, that someone says, "Oh, it's 12 o'clock a.m. Good morning," You're going by a clock. Isn't it night? Don't even the farmers know that the night is the beginning of the day, that you sleep? So we have to get our reality of our world straight. So these notes over here are to, if you, folks, you just heard one of them, to John. These are notes that if you take time and you read them, they're expressing that there's something more to the word light and darkness. It's not just referring to a time frame or day and night necessarily. It is a deeper meaning here. And going forward, we're going to see more of this stuff when it talks about a sheep being a person, plant of righteousness, known as righteous children of Israel, righteous people. We're going to see a lot more symbolism throughout the Bible, that we have to really understand what that deep knowledge is, because it is more manifested from Genesis, which is Old Testament, and it's more revealed a bit when you go into New Testament, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important we understand the deep stuff in the Old Testament, and then when we get into New Testament, we can look back on the Old Testament and say, oh, that's what Emmanuel was talking about. Oh, that's what the disciples were talking about. That's why we have these problems now. And then you can find out what is the real difference between a true priest, aka teacher, and a false one. And this could be very key as we go further into this. Do you have any?
Yeah. Well, I want you to bring up again that who did the Father do this for? Did he do it for himself, or did he do it for Adam? You were talking on that earlier.
So, my brother Craig wanted me to explain what is the purpose, and we're gonna go into this, folks, later on. This is again gonna be spoken of later on in Genesis chapter 1, when it can you pull up that verse, image, in chapter 1? Man was made in image.
Yeah.
Hold on, sorry folks, we're just trying to get to this verse real quick for you.
And the Father said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth."
Now, keep reading. Now, real quick, before my brother continues, I want you to hear a key word. It said, let us make man in our image. Now, is this correct, or is there a flaw in this sentence? We're going to find out. Keep going.
So, the Father created man in his own image. In the image of the Father created he him, male and female created he them.
Wait. Read that first sentence. Just that first sentence.
So the Father created man in his own image.
Now wait. The Father created man? God created man in his own image? What happened to the us? So some people will then say, who was tuned in to, oh, the us is referring to Emmanuel, which everyone refers to as Jesus, and God talking and saying, we want man to... No, this makes no sense, because Emmanuel says he's a son of Adam. So why would he then talk about creating Adam and then being manifested, and then basically people are starting to recognize that Emmanuel is not a son of God, but he is a son of Israel, because they somewhat understood what Moses said to the Pharaoh, that Israel is my firstborn son. Now, we know Israel, Abraham's grandson, is dead by that time. So what is the Father saying by using the name Israel, referring to his people that Moses was trying to free? It means that anyone who believes in him and follows his way is known as a son or daughter, which then is under the name Israel. We're going to get into that again, something more to that with the name, which is hidden in Isaiah. Now, we understand then that he didn't come as a son of man, he came as a son of Israel. This is very important to your verse that you just read. It's a long-winded, it's a deep, it's a deep knowledge, deep truth here. So he was not known as a son of man, but a son of Israel, because he always also refers to, he comes from the line of David. David came from the line of Abraham. Abraham blessed his grandson and told Rebekah to do these things to her husband, Isaac, so that Isaac would give the blessing to Israel, whom Isaac loved more Esau. Abraham loved more Israel. So there's something more happening here in that verse that's wrapped up in Genesis. Remember, two nations in that womb? The older shall serve the younger. Who came out first? Esau. Who came out second? Who was the younger? By time and like a second would be in Israel. So, where is there us? There is no us there. So, the word us shouldn't be there, because we're going to find out here when the Father created Adam in his own image, which Emmanuel explains in another way by saying not the word image, but temple. I will destroy this temple in 3 days and rebuild it. And when people saw that his body was no longer in the cave, which was the burial site, it was gone, and he was walking around in basically a corpse that had life in it, so that he was able to speak. Again, what did I just say? That if you were dead, the word cannot be spoken out of your mouth. So what did the Father show? That in order to have the word, to have light in you, you must be able to speak what? Truth. That means he's not the Father of the dead, he's the Father of the living. Folks, get that straight. So, when the Father created Adam, he created a physical manifestation of an image that he wished to appear as. Why then would he come out of Mary looking like a human and also say, I brought you out of Egypt, in another image known as Moses? I put my words in my prophets. If you do not live by bread alone, but by every word. Who controls the word? In science, they would call us humans. Who controls the word? Human beings or the Father? So therefore, in order the Father put the word in you to speak out of you, wouldn't that mean that the Father and Adam are actually one, thus being the Trinity? So what the Father did is he manifested himself in an image that he wished to appear as, in a likeness, aka emotions, right? Now read that verse again, the one that has dominion.
Okay. I don't know where it is.
It's in the verse before. Let us create man in our image.
Yeah, it doesn't have the dominion part though.
Well, it says to have control over the birds, the
Oh yeah, it does
fowls.
say that.
Okay.
And the Father said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness."
Now hold on. Let us make Adam. So
Okay.
for the folks, I want you to hear this, folks,
Let us
correctly.
make Adam in our image.
In my image.
In my image, after my likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Mhm. Now, when does the Father ever say, let me do something? When does he ever have the word say, let me do something? He never does. This is the only time you'll see that. Let me do something. He will do something. He doesn't say let me do it, he will do it. So even the word let shouldn't be there. It would be I, God, or I, the Father, shall create Adam in my image and in my likeness. And this image, which he gives a name known as Adam, shall have dominion over all things that I have created. Now, folks, why would he give dominion, authority of his creation to a human being if he wasn't in control of that human being? Does that make sense? Any comments on that?
No, again, it points to obviously the promise and the blessings that are given to his creation, and that through Adam's line and through Abraham,
Through his
they
blood.
will have dominion. He's always establishing dominion on the earth, but it is through a vessel. So that's how it started, and that's how.
Because it can't be a corpse, right?
Yeah.
It can't be a statue that we
Yeah.
built.
And it's how it works through the whole thing. It's not like he's establishing anything in a void corpse vessel that is probably like a Gentile, because there isn't, the truth's not in him.
And what does it say? And if you're able, I don't know if you could pull that up real quick. Everything that is seen is made by that which is unseen. So my brother here is going to pull up a scripture. I think it's in Corinthians. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it's in Corinthians.
Yeah. Second Corinthians 4:18.
Okay.
While we look not at things which are seen, but at things which are not seen, for the things that are seen are temporal, and the things that are not seen are eternal.
So the things that are not seen that are eternal would be what? Live by every word. The word is eternal. That
Yeah.
means heaven and earth, which doesn't mean, again, heaven and earth. It means the sky and the land shall pass away. Haven't we not had the cowboys? We had Middle Ages. We had all these times in our history of the world that have passed. Now we have a concrete jungle. So all this stuff shall pass, but what shall not pass away, meaning to be, to change, is his word. His word is constant. Now the church made God out to be, oh, I'm going to change from being wrathful to now being all merciful, and never will I be wrathful. No, you're changing him. He says, I'm the same as yesterday as today. I'm the same forever.
Yeah.
So right there, we know that you have false pastors in your church. Now I'm going to repeat what Paul said. Get these teachers out of there. Because the teachings should go according to what the prophets have said. And according to even Genesis, was by Moses. So we know Moses would not have messed up in his speaking. So someone who wrote this down wasn't writing down completely, fully what Moses was saying, because he would not have said, let us make man, which is Adam, in our image, because there's no us there. The Father, what does he say? Is there any beside the Father?
No.
Is there anyone beside him? There's none beside me. I do all things. Doesn't it say that, folks? There is none beside me. How is there an us? So it said, things that are made by that, everything that is seen is made by that which is unseen, right? To be manifested.
Yes.
It says that manifested, right?
No, but it's understood.
Okay, well, it's understood, folks, that everything that is seen is manifested by the Spirit. And the Spirit is the Father. It says even in a verse where it says the Father, it says the Father is a Spirit. Well, folks, how could the Spirit go into Mary and manifest a image of Adam, which we know as Emmanuel? Right? Because the Spirit manifested the trees, which Spirit is the Father. Manifested the trees, the water, all these things we're going to read further into Genesis. If he manifested all that, and then he manifested Adam, then why are we so focused on seeing people by their skin color? Seeing all these things that we see with our eyes, instead of understanding that regardless what shape the things that we see in our world as a grass or tree, regardless what shape it takes, is all part of the Father, because it is his works that he is moving upon the face of the earth. But you want to do a closing?
All right. Again, we will be continuing this series of this deep teaching, continuing next time from where we left off here. Obviously, we do a lot of cross-referencing. If you want to go further, explore our notes over there. Obviously, those mostly touch on the light being knowledge, and you are the light of the world. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Thank you.